Here in the Northern Hemisphere, winter is fast approaching. The days are getting shorter, the nights are getting longer, darkness is encroaching. But Scott Roxburgh from our culture desk is here to lighten things up, quite literally. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you.
Apart from yourself, what have you brought to brighten a dreary winter evening?
Well, light. lots and lots of light. I mean, it's true what you say. I mean, you're living here in the Northern Hemisphere, the nights start encroaching when it comes to winter. We're feeling a little bit Game of Thrones around the culture desk. You know, winter is coming. So what we tried to do to lighten things up a bit, we looked around to find some bright artists who are trying to lift people's spirits using light. So we brought a few of them for you. First, we have a photographer who quite literally sets the night aglow. Won't we take a look at some of his work?
JanLeonardo is an artist. He paints with light. His blank canvas is darkness. The self-taught light artist works with pyrotechnics and LEDs. He captures his light compositions through long time exposures. He doesn't use digital effects. What the viewer sees is what actually happened. It's authentic. You can't see the result until you look at the monitor. That's the biggest problem. You can't see what you're doing. You might compare it to blind painters. You could sense what they're doing, but you couldn't see it. Every photo shoot is a performance. JanLeonardo developed what's known as LAPP, Light Art Performance Photography. It involves choreographed movements with light. It can take an hour to complete all the exposures for one photo. The light artist has used the technique to make advertising photos for major international companies. Painting with light is a way of making the passing of time visible. It means enjoying the total freedom to make light, creativity, imagination, the pictures in your head, visible through long exposures. JanLeonardo, a photographer who doesn't just capture one moment in time, an artist who lets the light dance before our very eyes.
Yeah, I mean, pretty impressive, eh?
Absolutely.
We got a chance to talk to JanLeonardo, and he gave us a couple of tips to how to do this if you want to try it out yourself. Not too difficult. You don't need too much equipment to try it out. You can, if you're interested in it, you can take a look on our Facebook page. He goes through a few of the steps to get started, because he himself was self-taught.
Wow, I'm feeling brighter already. What else have you brought for us?
Well, we have another photographer, quite different than JanLeonardo. His name's Markus Kili. He's Finnish. And instead of using electronic lights, he uses natural lights. In fact, he goes far up to the north of Europe to capture the aurora borealis, the northern lights. And Markus is quite incredible because he will go on treks of hours and hours at a time. I think we have some of his footage, yes. Takes his sled out. He goes out in the darkness, say 6, 7 hours at a time. We're talking minus 30-degree temperatures, minus 30 degrees Celsius, to capture his images. But I think you'll agree, it's really worth it. I mean, just spectacular.
Wow.
Yeah, and Markus calls himself a light hunter. He only goes out when the conditions are absolutely perfect for the northern lights. Bright, clear skies. He knows that environmentally conditions are right, so he can capture them. And yeah, I mean, what can you say about those images?
They look completely unreal.
Yeah, it's magical.
Spectacular.
Really.
Yeah, magical is the word, actually, Scott. Beautiful. Yeah. Okay. Also, when we look at this time of the year, I often think of Christmas lights. Do you have any of those?
Yes, yeah, of course. Way ahead of you. Obviously, Christmas season has started here in Northern Europe, and the season. I mean, it's a little bit now like it is back home in the suburb I grew up. My dad and their neighbors start competing to be more outrageous, over the top with their Christmas lights, and that's what cities around Europe do. So each city is trying to outdo the other ones. We started in Paris, the Champs-Élysées. I mean, it was just lit up. up with their Christmas lights, these bright red lights that light up in front of the Arc de Triomphe, setting off the Christmas season in sort of typical French style. But age of Brexit, not to be outdone, over in London, in Kew Gardens, they outdid the French with a really unbelievable Christmas light show. I mean, for me, it looks like something right out of Disney, yeah? With laser lights, and they have a whole lake with origami boats brightly lit up, and literally hundreds of thousands of light bulbs to sort of set the British sky alight and maybe make Brexit just a little bit brighter. But my absolute favorite is here in Iceland. Not quite as spectacular, but really lovely. It's this huge Yule cat. Now, in local folk tradition, the Yule cat is this monstrous cat that wanders around in holiday season and eats little children who have not received a new warm clothes for Christmas. So, cute, lovely, and kind of terrifying.
And bright. And you haven't mentioned Berlin, but I have to tell you, in my street, the Christmas lights are on. Lovely, wonderful, round baubles of light. Very cheerful.
You really need it this time of year, don't you? Up
Absolutely.
Here, something to brighten up the sky.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Scott Roxburgh from our Culture Desk, for bringing that lovely light into our lives and into our studios. Thank you.
Yeah.